It's kind of like when you're a toddler and you're learning to walk, and you're a parent, all you want to do is grab them, right? And go, no, don't fall. And you want to pat everything. But what do we have to do? We have to let them fall and scrape a knee and things of that nature. And that's how they learn. That's how they're going to learn the most, is through those experiences. And when you're an entrepreneur, it's the same thing. So when you are going through a really tough time, it's those times that you really learn a lesson and go, right, now I've learned that, I've lived through it. It's one thing reading in a book. It's another thing being able to live it, and have that experience. If it is for you and you're saying, no, this is what I'm driven to do, I have to see my ideas out there, look up, change your perspective, and just say to yourself, right, I'm going to get through this. I have to get through this. Yes, there are going to be bad times, but imagine then when things start to get better, how good that's going to feel. Think forward, look forward and say, right, in a year from now, where could I be with this?
One of the things that you mentioned earlier, step back, look up. I'm sure you've had those weeks where you feel like you're gripped by your business or by your clients, and your quality of life as an entrepreneur suffers. I've been there, and it's horrible because I'm hot-headed, ill-tempered, and I feel stressed often. What are some of your best pieces of advice? I'm happy to say I'm a little bit done with that right now, just a little bit, but I have some ways to go. It's clear for me what I have to do though, but there are some people that just don't know where to start. They think they can't take that 2 weeks off because if they do, the house is going to burn down. What are some of your best pieces of advice to entrepreneurs who are in that rut?
Well, ironically, that's been a lot over the past year. That's a lot that I've been working on, because it was just me, now in the business. Business had completely changed. I had so many other things going on, and really my life was chaos at its, to say the least. So I think it's looking and finding the flow. I think first of all, it's realizing that you need to build a business that suits you, that makes you happy. Now, happiness and hard work can go together. I think a lot of times people think, oh, it has to be easy. No, we can work hard, and we do need to work hard. But that doesn't mean we aren't happy in the business that we're building. So I think, first of all, it's getting clear that the business that you're building isn't modeled off some internet guru, going, oh, put up this sales page and get, 500 million pounds. And it isn't. It's built for you. It's built that works with your life, works with your schedule, works with the amount of time that you have available to put into it. So we're not completely overloading ourselves and going, right, I have to do 30 hours worth of work, but really I only have 15 hours, available in my schedule because of kids or whatever the case might be. So it's fine. It's being aware that, yes, here's what I have to put into the business, and getting very clear on that and setting those boundaries. Now, then you may find, yes, you need to work an hour in the evenings, or 2 hours in the evenings after the kids go to sleep. And maybe that allows you to take dinner time off, to spend with the family after school and things of that nature. For instance, that's something that I do. It's getting clear on what you want your business to be, getting clear on what is going to make it, it happy for you to be in your business and working. And then also finding flow and finding, and it's hard for early entrepreneurs to kind of do this, but setting boundaries, maybe theme days, you can say, right, getting rid of a lot of context switching. When we do a lot of context switching, we're bouncing from one thing to another. It's completely wasting time. I believe also, and again, this is something that I have worked very hard to sort of weed out, is working on the wrong things at the wrong time. So it's finding, right, what is it that I need to work on right now? What's the major thing? Do I really need to do 5 podcasts? And do I need to have a YouTube channel? And do I need to, be on Facebook for 3 hours scrolling endlessly and, fart about in Canva for 2 hours? No, keep it. We need to keep our time lane. We need to find flow. We need to find our focus of what are the main things that are going to move the needle in our business. When you're in sort of the startup stage, most of that is usually product, sales, and marketing are kind of the three kind of key things. Now, underlying all of those is your brand, because your brand is key, in working with your, creating your products and obviously your sales and your marketing. Like we talked about, you can create stuff quickly and put it out there, right? It doesn't have to take and shouldn't take forever, shouldn't take a long time. Create that stuff that we want to test with. So get clear on those focuses. Like I said, ideally within those areas, try and find flow within your day. You can create theme days and group themes together. You can block out time and say this day is just for calls or meetings, or client calls or things of that nature. And this day I'm doing sales calls for this time. So there's loads of ways that you can balance your calendar to work with your life and your business and find that flow a bit better.
That's awesome. More of design and make sure the systems work for you in your life. Yeah. After all, started this business for you to find a measure of success and live life better. If it's doing the opposite, it doesn't make sense for you to continue doing it. And I learned that the hard way. But I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs kind of learn that the hard way, somewhere along the way. And that's.
I think we have to do that too, Sean. We have to. And I guess this is the other thing I would say to people is when it's those hard lessons, it's kind of like when you're a toddler and you're learning to walk, and you're a parent, all you want to do is grab them, right? And go, no, don't fall. And you want to pat everything. But what do we have to do? We have to let them fall and scrape a knee and things of that nature. And that's how they learn. That's how they're going to learn the most, is through those experiences. And when you're an entrepreneur, it's the same thing. So when you are going through a really tough time, it's those times that you really learn a lesson and go, right, now I've learned that. I've lived through it. It's one thing reading in a book. It's another thing being able to live it, and have that experience. And I would be very rest assured that you wouldn't make that same mistake again or go down that same road again, that you would do things differently. So if you can say to yourself, right, I'm going to learn a lot from this, I am going to be such, a much better entrepreneur, a much better leader, a much better, salesperson, if it had, this, you had to do with sales or product creator or whatever it is. But I'm going to be much better because of this experience that I'm going through, because this is only going to enhance my skill set, enhance my knowledge and everything else. So that's kind of a good point as well.
100% agree. And that's why, as you mentioned earlier, grit is so important, because when you don't have the resiliency to get back up again after making the mistake, then you paid the tuition because you made the mistake, but you didn't learn from it because you didn't get back up.
Great. That's a great analogy. Yes.
So let's go to one of the descriptions that I mentioned at the onset of the podcast, micro-brandologist. You mentioned in the pre-show, it is taking big lessons from big brands or brands that work and trying to break them down and make them understandable for entrepreneurs and inject them, hopefully, in the processes and systems. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you're the micro-brandologist, not me. But how does that look like, and how does that help a certain business that you are consulting with whenever you do that? Tell us a story about that one.
Yeah, so no, that's pretty spot on. So my micro-brandologist, basically what I do is I take big brand concepts and strategies and try to break them down, like you said, into nuggets that are action-based, more digestible, things that they can plug into their business and run with, pretty quickly, right? So the whole kind of gist is that they should be able to have something, they go through it, they go through the kit, and they have something in their hands that they can implement, within 4 hours or less. Now, does that mean they don't need to do more work in that, refine it and everything else? Of course, yes, but they've got something. The way that I would sort of go about doing that is, it's taking, so if you take even concepts like for instance, with visual branding. So kind of our first micro kit that we have out right now is branding in Flash. So typically now when we would have done consulting before, we had the consultancy on a big project, your visual branding and your verbal branding were always last because you have to build all the infrastructure. But that would have been us working with the client from scratch, doing everything, for them or with them. So in this case, if people are trying to plug and play, and as we talked about cohesion so much, branding in Flash is all about giving them that cohesion. So it's giving them that nugget. Now, is that them building a whole entire brand in 4 hours or less? No, but it's giving them clarity and cohesion with their visual branding, with some layers like digging into the brand season, the personality, value system, trying to align it a little, getting them to start to think about their audience, more, and not just what they want in their brand, but they can plug and play that and run with it. And if that's all they ever do, it'll help them immensely because at least they have that cohesion, even if they don't go and build the deeper layers at this stage. So it's taking concepts like that, or things like with positioning, brand positioning is complicated. It is, it can be a bit tricky. So it's actually even made me push myself for how can I teach these concepts in a way that's easy and digestible and things of this nature. So rather than me getting out sheets of paper and whiteboard and us spending days doing axes and all of this kind of stuff, I've created like an interactive spreadsheet where they can plug and play the information and, it gives them that snapshot then. It's thinking of, right, how can they take this information? Yes, give them the know-how, teach them the skills, but how can they take action on it? And for us, that's really sort of critical. We have kind of 5 sort of principles with our learning. It needs to be empowering, it needs to be enjoyable as well, it needs to be actionable, it needs to be real, and it needs to be accessible. So it's making sure that they can take that, easily digest it, and run with it, because they need those strategies. They need to know these things. But again, if I was to hand them, here's how you build a brand, here's brand development on a plate, and here's, blah, 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 they would be so overwhelmed with it, because it's very hard to run a business, especially at those early stages. It's hard to run a business and learn the things that you need to do to run your business at the same time. So if they can take it chunk by chunk, that's kind of our philosophy.
Yeah. I imagine otherwise they'd outright reject it. Like they'd be thinking, I'm already doing too much. And yeah.
Well, I think they think I'm either doing too much, or what they do is they take so much on. They take so much on. Again, kind of like using myself as an example. Oh, I need to learn this, and I need to learn that, and I need to know how to do this. Oh, and one day I might want to do that. And all of a sudden you're doing, all of these big, heavy courses that are 8 modules and, 45-minute videos and all this stuff. And it's overwhelming, because you have to get to the end of it. You have to do the eight modules to really figure out, right, so that's how it all works. So it's keeping it lean and mean, really. Here you go, plug and play and go, and really kind of having that lean principle with it.
Oh, hey, and since you're here, can you do me a favor? Can you hit on the subscribe button and hit the bell button and select all notifications, so that whenever we have a new video, you're going to be the first one to know. Until then, keep leading.
We have lost the capability to think because of the digital world, because of the busyness of the world, because of so much entertainment that we can entertain ourselves to stupidity and death. We have lost that.